And good morning, my wonderful friends. Look at you guys piling in. You know why? Because you're always here for the right reasons. I see a few new names in here. What is going on? Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm sorry I missed you guys yesterday. I had a neighborly duty I needed to take care of. Thank you for that, Just Me. This is Molly's TikTok. You'll run right over there. Not during my show, though. All right? Not during my show. Good morning, V. Oakley. Michelle Caudill, how are you? Joy Jones. Joy Jones, I thought you disappeared. Welcome back, girlfriend. Carrie G. Angel P. Britt. Hey, where's Walking Dead? Where's Jocelyn? I need to put a damn bell around her neck. So, yeah, busy day for me yesterday, but it's going to be a busy day today. Because you know when they say, what a difference a day makes. Well, in this case, it's what a difference a minute makes. Because in the last week, a lot has gone on. Chrissy said, I am all over Aunt Molly's TikTok. Yeah, that almost sounds perverted, but thank you for saying that, Chrissy. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. Yep, Ula Girl's in here. I'm going to let everyone get settled in, and in the process, we're going to tell everyone good morning. Reach out to the person above you and under you, not in a Las Vegas way, in the Baptist church way. Say hi to your neighbor. Now, before we get down to business, Stacy Perret is in here. She is a wonderful friend of mine, a wonderful friend of yours, a long-term member, and today is her birthday. Stacy, make yourself known. I saw you in here this morning. I know it's your birthday. Everyone, you know the drill. Happy birthday to you, our wonderful Stacy. And Walking Dead was Paige, and she came in and said, Britt, hey, girl. So fuck the rest of us. Walking Dead don't care about us, but hey, she's new here. Also, Retro Girl had a birthday a couple of days ago. She had a lot of stuff going on, so please take a minute to tell Retro Girl happy belated birthday. Okay, I'm going to introduce our guests. Are you ready? Not only do we have Aunt Molly, but we also have John from Palmer Law. Everybody except for Walking Dead, because she's new here and doesn't know the drill, please put your hands together and give a huge CLL welcome to our special guest today. Well, good morning, you two. How are you doing? I'm surprised you didn't have a stroke or a heart attack the last week.
I do take those high blood pressure pills from the VA, so I'm good.
You are? Okay. All right. So let's do this first, because I do see some new names in here. Let's refreshen everybody about the case. Walking Dead said, I'm dead, Brooks. Can everyone give some love to Walking Dead? Because she said, I'm dead, Brooks, so that's a good pun, right? Let's refreshen everybody. This is a family that will not take no for an answer. They knew for a fact that Alaunna did not unalive herself. And the person that is definitely relevant in this case, Cody Baker. I don't care if he wants to call himself DMX. We know his name, okay? Fat little fucking Cody. Anyway, he has immense hatred in his heart. I have spoke to his ex-girlfriend several times, and I want her to feel safe to come to chat, come on panel, because I think she could actually help Alaunna a lot. Do you think I'm wrong on that? I'll start with Molly.
No, I think that she is terrified to speak up because he threatened her to not speak about this, which is all the more reason she should.
Mm-hmm.
He is in jail right now, and we can keep him there. The more help she's able to give us. I mean, it's about doing the right thing. I think she'll do it.
What do you think, John?
Oh yeah, there's a lot to address there, and the threat, for those who follow this, they watched the last show, but she actually filled out a protective order against Cody Baker on behalf of her child. She was struck by him so hard with his bong that it left a circular mark upon her stomach, and she was given this weird threat that if she ever talked to the police about Alaunna, that supposedly Alaunna's family would come and hurt the baby, which is just ridiculous. And it's the kind of weird stuff that comes out of Cody's mouth. I do have to address, with Marianne Jackson, I rumor has it she thinks that I'm mad at her, or maybe she is mad at me. No, she was a witness. There was a lot of emotion in that room. It was my job to question Cody about aspects of his relationship with her. At one point, actually, nobody knows this. She actually called our law office and complained about me to the office manager, which that didn't really get anywhere. You can see that I'm here. I'm going at 100 miles an hour. But Marianne Jackson is a victim. And if I got to be the bad guy, if I was harsh or whatever, that's fine. What's really important is that she's safe and that baby is safe. And when a person kills for the first time, that inhibition against killing is loosened. And I fear that baby represents potentially another 16 or 15 years of child support to Cody. And he is a terrible man who hides what he is. I just want Marianne to be safe, and the baby.
And what you said right now is so important for everyone to know. Again, I want to introduce, we have John from Palmer Law, and we have Aunt Molly. When someone has killed before, it's much easier for them the next time. And we have to admit, Marianne is quite a thorn in Cody's side right now, because she has already been threatened not to talk about Alaunna Rafield.
Which tells me she probably knows something.
Right. That's not what innocent people say.
No. All right, let's look at this to get everyone refreshed with what we are talking about with Alaunna Rafield. She did not kill herself. She was murdered.
Seeking answers into the death of their 14-year-old daughter. Alaunna Rafield was found dead of a gunshot wound to her head just 3 weeks before her 15th birthday. Her death officially ruled a suicide, but now months later, the family still left with lingering questions. News 4's Caitlin Ogle with the story.
The Prague Police Department says the case is closed, but for Alaunna's family, closure is still a long ways away. Her parents saying there are still many loose ends, wondering if they'll ever know.
Now, I don't want Heather to ever hear this, who is Alaunna's mother. In my brief conversations with Mary Ann Jackson, speaking on behalf of Cody, I said, Cody has immense hate in his heart for several people. He's not a fan of this channel. Okay? You guys, I'm letting you know.
He swore to that under oath.
Yeah.
Swore to that under oath. Go ahead and tell that story, John, how bad he hates me.
Oh, well, he mentioned this channel by name during his sworn deposition. When brilliant criminal mastermind that he is, he spoke for hours without a lawyer present and submitted himself to questioning. And then, geez, I really want to get this out there. A lot of people have asked why he was handed the opportunity to take the fifth on a silver platter because they've seen that video. At that point, he had been pumped dry. We'd gotten everything we figured we were going to get out of him. Anything that we didn't get, it was stuff he wasn't going to answer about. And it put us in a legally advantageous position for him to take the fifth. So in summary, it was clever lawyering. And I know a lot of people have had questions about that. Anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. Yeah. But in the course of this, he mentioned by name, Crime, Lines, and Lies. And I'm thinking, you should use that as part of your intro or something,
Yeah, I need a clip of that. Miss K said, "We famous." V. Oakley said, "Oh, I hope we get to see that." Woo, woo. So that means he hates Walking Dead, who's new here. He hates our birthday people, hates Angel P. Chrissy, I guarantee he hates Chrissy because every time his name is brought up, she puts up laughing faces. Miss K, look at her. Wahoo, wahoo. Oh, what kind of puppy dog is that?
That's Houdini, and Houdini doesn't like creepers. They scare him. Of course, his baseline emotion is terror. He's a little rescue chihuahua, and his name's Houdini, and the terms of his release require him to wear this tracking device. So,
Oh, he's so cute.
well, you got OJ. I got Houdini. I don't know who Molly's got.
I've got a Cooper.
All right.
A Cooper and a Cone right now.
There are still many loose ends, wondering if they'll ever know what truly happened.
This is life behind closed doors. 9 months after 14-year-old Alaunna Raffield was found dead in the garage of her Prague home.
If she saw you and you didn't have any friends, she's going to come up to you. She's going to be your friend.
The high school cheerleader, also passionate about baking, using her talent for birthday parties or fundraisers for those in need.
The world outside of this town won't ever get to know her.
Early December 8th, Alaunna's mom finding her cold, lifeless body in the garage, a gunshot wound to the head. But 8 months later, the heartbroken family still missing a crucial piece.
And the pistol was several feet from her body.
Prague police and the medical examiner ruling her death as a suicide. But Alaunna's family says it doesn't add up.
She was right-handed and the shot was from the left side.
Prague police allegedly saying the small pistol too heavy for Alaunna to hold.
Okay, I want to talk about that. They initially said with her left hand, that pistol would be too heavy for her to hold. Where did that go? And suddenly it's summed up as an unaliving.
They needed it to go away.
I go back to Alan Grubbs. I do. He had a lot of stuff going on in that department, and I still don't understand the bribes to not prosecute, and why is he not been prosecuted himself? Does anyone know why?
Oh, geez, I got to jump in here. So I asked, and we're going to talk about the investigators to the degree that we can, the investigators that came by Monday and took so much material off of us, it took me an hour to upload it onto their flash drive. But one of them said he doesn't understand why Alan Grubb is being prosecuted. Because I said, well, why isn't he being prosecuted? He said, I ask myself that question every day. And he referred to Grubb, singular, not Grubb's Grubb. He referred to the people that worked for Grubb as Grubb's goons. And he said the worst thing that ever happened in this case was not the fact the Prague police showed up and didn't really know what they were doing. He said the worst thing that ever happened in this case is Grubb's goons got a hold of it. Those are his exact words. Yeah. I won't say which Jason it was. They're both named Jason. They're both tall and bearded. They're like avenging angels. I would not want these people investigating me if I had done wrong.
No,
Heaven help Cody.
no. And he knows something's going down.
Yeah.
This is very interesting that from the beginning, they knew that she didn't commit suicide. And I will say suicide because it's a clinical term as far as this show goes.
But Alaunna's family says it doesn't add up.
She was right-handed, and the shot was from the left side.
Prague police allegedly saying the small pistol too heavy for Alaunna to hold.
She would have cocked it with her, holding it with her right hand, sliding it with her left hand, and then hold it up to shoot herself.
Alaunna's parents also questioning why more tests weren't run, like fingerprints and testing for gunpowder residue.
There was also no gunshot residue test done on her hand or her clothing or her head.
Investigators did run tests on the sweater Alaunna was wearing, but only after the funeral home washed it 3 times.
A little triangular sample off of each sleeve right there by the cuff. They tested it.
Results for gunpowder residue coming back negative.
There's still probably someone else that knows something about what happened.
Now, we did reach out to the Prague Police Department, but no one was available to take our call. Alaunna's family says a scholarship is being made in her name, and the first annual Alaunna Toy Run will start this December.
God bless them. God bless them. There's a difference between people that just eat the shit and go away, and there's people that say, no, 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 no. Now, back to my story, my brief conversations with Marianne Jackson. At one time, she was 100% on Cody's side. I can see why. Because she's having a baby with him. He's Mr. Boyfriend. You know, they're happy, all that stuff. And speaking for Cody, because I believe that Cody was actually sending the message, because he was speaking, it was in first person as opposed to speaking for someone else. That's how I took it. Again, he has tremendous hate in his heart. I'm sure for you now, Molly. Mm-hmm. He's not a fan of John's. Okay.
No. I'm in front of Molly. Okay. If Cody's going to be mad at anybody, he needs to be mad at me. I have Molly has stepped up and she's taking the lead, but there has never been a point where I have not been the driving force at the law firm behind this. I'm supervised properly. I take my orders from my superiors. I run things by them, but this is my case. And Cody, you'd be mad at me, okay?
Well, one thing that was said is that he's got tremendous hate in his heart for Heather, because he said she just will not accept bad parenting. And I'm like, what? So Marianne and I had an issue from there, but she knows better now.
Right. I'm curious, when did he say that before he did his deposition, where he was admitting that it makes no sense that it was a suicide? Because he talks out of both sides of his mouth.
Yeah, because I didn't put the deposition out for a lot of reasons. John knows why.
Yeah. It's funny because, and I know there's parts of the deposition that have aired on the show. There's parts of the depositions that are of the deposition that is airing on Molly's TikTok. And, but there's a lot that hasn't been seen. And there's this great part where Cody, who is not, switches from criminal mastermind to being Columbo or something, is trying to solve the crime. And Cody admits it doesn't add up, but, not him, point to other people in the house. And yeah, he talks out of both sides of his mouth.
Mm-hmm. And Heather wanted me to make sure everybody understood that whenever the funeral home washed Alaunna's hoodie, they didn't know that they were doing anything but a favor for the family. So they aren't investigators or law enforcement. They've just thought, oh, well, they said it was okay, so I'm going to wash it before I send it back. So
Yeah, can we please elaborate on that? Because a lot of people get very confused about it.
Yes.
The first thing I said was, how could they do that considering there was an investigation? And Heather explained it on the show. She's not on here right now. So it had to do with wanting the hoodie back is what I understood.
yeah, so the funeral home, once Alaunna's body was released, you know, as far as the funeral home goes, they are not in the position to double check law enforcement or medical examiner. They just are trusting that they did all they needed to do. So whenever Alaunna's body was given to them for their end of things, they asked Heather, will you guys want this hoodie back? And she said, yeah, we do want it back. You know, we are not being investigators at that point in this process. We are just like, okay, question, do you want the hoodie back? Answer, yes. So they thought, we'll wash it so that it's given back in a, you know, a good condition. So they did have to wash it 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all needs to fall on medical examiner and Prague police chief not doing their job.
Keep in mind that the creeper, Cody, did not jump up on the radar until, well, I don't know the exact number of days, but it was after when he was put on the radar by, I don't know if I want to say her name. Cody refers to her as the middleman, somebody who was a female friend of both Cody and Alaunna, who was Cody was saying a lot of crazy stuff to her, and she talked to her foster parents because she was a foster kid too, along with Cody there, and the foster parents were like, yeah, you need to talk to the police about this. And before she talked to the police, Cody caught wind and was like, you gonna talk to the police about me? And threatened. I'm sorry, that's my Cody imitation. I need to be more restrained. He and told the middleman that he'd kill himself if she talked to the police, which of course is what innocent people do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the number of red flags here that I mean, when I talked to the investigators on Monday, at different points they were just like rolling their eyes and shaking their head like, oh, he admitted to having how do we refer to it on YouTube, child corn, you know, on his phone, you know?
That was a hacking into her socials,
Right.
Leaving creepy messages referring to her as his forever love when she's 14 and he's 18. And yeah, so he didn't, but the point is he didn't pop up on the radar during the period of time, you know, hoodie was being washed and stuff like that. And the parents were unaware of this, I don't want to use the word relationship, but this ongoing contact, that's the phrase, this ongoing surreptitious contact he had with her via phone, via social media. So all of a sudden, he's on the radar in a big way, and to this day. Yeah.
and it's not going away. Okay, so a few days ago, well, last week, I was sent a video of Cody being detained by law enforcement. Jen 405 said, Crime Lines and Lies, thank you for continuing to keep focus on Alaunna. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sophia, thank you for the 5 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Get them while they're hot. So now what was the hearing about last week for Cody? And I'm going to show the video. And it's creepy. And I want everyone to understand how creepy this video is. So we'll start with John. What was Whataburger doing there at the courthouse?
To be fair, Whataburger he has lost some weight. He is merely husky now, or like, yeah. So what it was about? Well, we found that off the radar, Cody had been charged with having 6-gallon bags of contraband marijuana, which is a huge problem in Minnesota. I said Minnesota, that's where I'm from. It's a huge problem here in Oklahoma because this stuff is just leaking out of the legal grow operations, and it's everywhere. So they're really cracking down. So he had 6 bags of this stuff, and the way police were put onto this is he was out in his yard in front of this miserable little house. I've seen it on Google Maps. Rain-soaked chair on the porch, stoner paradise there. And they were him and a comrade, a co-defendant, were shooting a Glock and videotaping themselves like gangsters do, right? And somebody, most likely a neighbor, called police. Police went to the trouble of getting a search warrant, and they seized the weed and the gun. Didn't charge him with the gun yet. He had shells. He was trying to hide the shells, I guess. I'm trying to quote this off the top of my head. I do believe there was something in there about he was trying to conceal the shells, and the police, I do remember, said conflicting stories were told. Anyway, okay, let's shooting to the point. So he had to get bail. Okay, $5,000 bail. His co-defendant had $3,000 bail, which tells me the cops think he's the big cheese there, and the other guy's along for the ride. And so he had a hearing, a very routine hearing, and well, Molly was going to be there. He was going to be there, and I got to tell you, and I kind of kicked myself over this. I have not had good luck with bondsmen in the past, and as somebody who works for a criminal defense attorney, it is very rarely my job to try to get bail revoked, for crying out loud. It has come up. Usually with somebody that's being stalked, and I've just not had any luck with bondsmen being responsive to that. And so it was like 45 minutes before the hearing, and Aunt Molly was like in the parking garage coming up, and I tried calling the bail bondsman to cover my bases, just to be diligent. Like, I tried, okay? And surprisingly, I get this bondsman that really, really cares about the fact that 3 criteria. Cody uses aliases. Oh, flight risk. Cody has an $11.6 million judgment against him, which we're just starting to enforce. Flight risk. And what is the last one? Oh, the murder investigation is back open again. Flight risk. And each of these things is more powerful in the cumulative than just being added up. And next thing you know, I'm talking to this former U.S. Marshal, now bond enforcer, who's like saying, I'm pulling my shoes on now. And I guess we're going to get that video up here pretty quick, right? Molly, ma'am, do you have anything to add?
Yep, I've got the video. My husband kept asking, because he watched the video several times. He's like, I want to know who this dude is. He goes, he's got to be former law enforcement. He's got to be former military. He's got to be U.S. Marshal. So you're saying he's former U.S. Marshal, and now he's...
oddly enough, it was one of the females there I was talking to, who identified herself as a former U.S. Marshal. That guy could be. I don't know. I don't know who he is. I remember this point, and Molly, you're more aware of what you were going on emotionally than I was. Molly pointed him out because he appeared later than the other characters, and the really tall guy, athletic. And I said something like, yeah, definitely has that enforcer look. And just in the course of seeing this guy for the first time and looking at him, I think it was at that point, Molly just burst into tears and started shaking, And I don't know if it was the sight of this protective angel that came to help us. I'm getting teary-eyed just talking about it. We should really show the video here. Molly, I'm sorry. I talked a whole bunch. Please add what you have to.
No, let's go through the video. I'm going to tell everyone right now, I'm going to put up the trigger warning, because the look in Cody's eye and the way he traded glances with Aunt Molly creeped me out. And yeah, I got very teary-eyed over it as well. So wonder Molly didn't hop in the elevator with him. Did you see that stare he gave you? Boy, that gave me chills, big time chills.
I gotta say in my role here that I was standing right next to Aunt Molly at that moment, and who that stare was directed at, it's hard to say. I've gone through that video a number of times. I do know that Cody did seem to lock eyes with me, but we were right next to each other, and at the distance, he could have been looking both of us in the face, really. So,
well, let's just say he hates you more, okay, John?
thank you. This is why I make the big bucks.
Yeah, let's just say he hates you more. All right, a couple of people missed the video. Let's go through it again. I can't slow it down. Let's just soak it in. Look at his eyes. Okay.
You could hear me trying to control my breath in the video. I was having
That's
my
okay.
heart was racing like I just ran a marathon. Because that was the first time being in the same building or the same, even, of course, that close proximity to Cody. So yeah, there was just a whole lot running through my head. It was part, I was stressed over, are we going to actually be able to pull off what I'm hoping that we're going to get to pull off? I don't want my hopes to get up again. And then it was just like, this monster is going to see my face, the aunt of Alaunna, and I want that to be running through his head while he's sitting on his steel bunk bed, that we're not going anywhere. We're gonna see you behind those cell walls for a while.
Now, how long will he be in jail?
Let me jump in here. So right now, if another bondsman would put up his bail, he could get out tomorrow. The thing is, that is almost certainly not going to happen, because there is a Facebook group that all the bondsmen talk to, and they share information about who's flight risk. So as soon as this happened, I called up a bondsman friend of mine, somebody different than the people you saw there. He told me about the group. He put it out there. I sent him the same picture from Facebook we showed on your show the other day, where he was holding the daffodil, precious, peaceful little flower. Yeah, so they'd have a idea what he looked like. And so, and then, of course, my understanding is that this bondsman as well has put the information out. So it's very unlikely that he would get that bail. And the people in his life, they would have to come up with the whole $5,000, not just the $500 you pay to a bondsman, and he puts up money and he keeps the $500, and that's how he stays in business. No, they'd have to come up with the whole $5,000, and I don't think they have it, or we'll put it up. If there's anybody that does have it, he has a hearing coming up. I don't know if we want to announce the date because we may have to have a crowd control type situation. Much must be thought about and talked about. But even that date is just either a preliminary hearing or a preliminary hearing conference. So even that date isn't going to get him out of jail. And that's, let's just say it's a couple months, more than a month out. Yeah. So he's sitting there, and I just want to deliver this because I practiced this line before. You remember O.J. Simpson, right? Well, heck, you named your cat after him, right? Okay, so some of us remember that contemporaneously, and there was like a part 2 of O.J. Simpson where the estate of Ron Goldman's parents, especially his father, they sued O.J. civilly, and O.J. was put under such financial and personal pressure that at a certain moment in time, he popped. He was trying to sell some of his sports memorabilia. The deal wasn't going well. I guess he ended up breaking into a hotel room in Las Vegas and assaulting someone. So he went to prison for a number of years. And at that time, the comedians said, yeah, OJ is going to prison for assault and burglary, but really for murder. And that's what happened here. Cody's bond was revoked because of 3 things that were going on in Alaunna's case that had nothing to do with his little pot thing, though I do think he was desperately selling pot to pay his lawyer. So the timing suggests that. The timing of the arrest suggests that these pot sales were a desperate attempt to raise money to pay his lawyer. So, well, there, thank you. Said my piece.
All right, and there he is. There he is in all his glory. That's the Oklahoma County inmate roster. He got locked up. Case number CF, which means criminal felony 24005164. Felony. Cash or bail, $5,000. Let's see. Booking date 4/4. He's 6'2" and 260 pounds. Born in 2002.
As I sit here right now, I've got one of his friends trying to send me a message on TikTok. It's popping up on my phone. I'll have to read it later.
Okay.
Sorry, can't answer you right now, friend of Cody's.
Well, I mean, why is he such a good friend of Cody's?
Because denial ain't just a river in Egypt, and time again. And this kid seems like, in some ways, I kind of like him. He's a cool kid, and he didn't do it. He just hangs out with this guy, and Cody's got people fooled. But me and him have talked about how Ann Rule, the crime writer, what put her on the radar and got her writing books. She used to work at a crisis hotline with Ted Bundy, for crying out loud. She was a friend of Ted Bundy's. She was convinced Bundy was innocent and the whole thing was a setup. And then she saw the bite mark evidence, and she had a nightmare that night that Ted was a baby she was holding and he was turning into this biting monster. And she knew that Ted, her good friend, who used to walk her to her car at night so she'd be safe, that inside he was a monster. And Cody, who his background is so rough, the awful things that have happened to him. I'm not trying to express sympathy here, but he is what he is for a reason, He is, but I mean, at what point do we give sympathy instead of getting justice for Alaunna? Well, let me throw something out there, and Molly, jump in and interrupt me when you feel like you have to, okay? There is this point in the deposition where Cody is all flustered, and he looks at me and he says, well, you know how people are who don't have any money, like why you can't remember time, dates. He says, you know how people are that don't have money. He says, I can tell you've had money your whole life. That's the point where Cody dramatically misidentifies. I mean, let's just say that's the point where Cody dramatically misidentifies. But some people become bookworm nerds and do well in school and become the pride and joy of their family, such as it is. But Cody's background, good Lord, he was taken away from his parents who were abusive and neglectful. I can't I grew up rough and I made something of myself. I can't compete with the kind of tough stuff that Cody came from. I mean, he wasn't even born Cody Baker. He was born Dominic Moles. He was taken away from his family. They lost their parental rights. He went into a foster home run by a woman named Shadon Baker, who he says was abusive to him, but that's where he got the name Cody Baker. I mean, they changed his name so his parents couldn't find him. And so, but he had to leave that home. He has bounced from one home to another, picking up names, aliases along the way.
It created a very aggressive person, clearly.
Yeah. And he became a perv somewhere along the way. And you got to wonder if when he was small and helpless and bouncing from foster home to foster home, you got to wonder what happened to him and what I mean, there is this pattern where an abused person becomes an abuser. And it seems very likely under this scenario that very bad and awful things happen to him. Well, heck, it's one reason they didn't want to start turning rocks over. The authorities didn't want to start turning rocks over in that Prague foster care system. That's one reason they wouldn't dig into Alaunna's death, because it was going to lead to, oh, gee, the assistant police chief Frisbee charged, good Lord, with abusing foster children right there in Prague. And that was the department looking into Alaunna's death. It's all becoming so clear now, you know?
Yeah, our last show was the corruption and the control the DA had. I still want to know why on earth has the Attorney General, Gittner Drummond, not done something with that DA?
Yeah. The Prague and what has happened in Prague is an embarrassment. And unfortunately, it is a bit of a systemic problem. Matthew Hensley, in his affidavit, wrote about this thing, retired on duty, and these little police forces that they got people there that just don't want to work. They want to, as he put it, watch Netflix for an entire shift. Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about your conversation with relevant investigators.
I feel terrible here. Molly should be telling more stuff.
No.
All right, the investigators, throw a question at me, Brooks. I'll try to answer it.
Okay, let's start with, how did the meeting start?
Well, we were emailing material to the district attorney asking that Cody get prosecuted, and emailing relevant stuff. And at some point, the assistant district attorney, Kelly Trimble, was like, "We're going to put you in touch with these investigators." They called me. We set up a meeting for Monday at our law office. Palmer Law has like 5 offices. Our smallest one is in Colgate, Oklahoma. Okay, I know nobody knows where that is. Our smallest one was in Colgate. So
I do.
Well, you know everything, Brooks. You know, you got people talk to you there. So we set up a meeting, and Mr. Palmer was very specific about how he wanted things to go. He wanted an elevator speech up front. He wanted our 3 strongest pieces of evidence, and then after that, whatever they want to talk about, let them talk about it. So that's how that was conducted, more or less. And they just started, completely getting into all the details. At one point, they wanted the whole history of the names that Baker used. They got into everything. Certain aspects of it, I don't know if I could or should discuss. I'll just say that they were intensely interested, and again, very critical of the former district attorney. It almost seemed like they're really motivated to show how much this was his ridiculous screw up. Yeah.
And I think we can all agree with that, because on the last show, I explained how he did he would defer prosecution and take bribes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I want to know, and don't think I haven't reached out to whoever I can, where is the audit trail from where this money came from and whose prosecution got deferred? And why is he not up the creek without a paddle?
You know, I've seen examples of this, for example, in Paul's Valley, where they audited a municipally owned hospital. There is a procedure where citizens can gather a certain number of signatures and demand a formal audit. To the degree anything was audited behind the scenes, and we know that a grand jury came back and said that Grubb was doing things he wasn't supposed to do. Somehow that did not result in actual criminal prosecution. Further saith not, but a lot of this was just settled behind the scenes. He's no longer the district attorney, somebody else is. And I guess we're not supposed to turn over every rock and put it all out there and let everyone examine it and figure out what's going on. We should all be happy and content and trust that the new district attorney has it handled.
Which is very terrifying to us because they did not. I hope that these investigators are sinking their teeth into it and they are going to be a dog with a bone and not let it go. But they've been in, this new DA has been in charge for, is it 2 years now?
Something like that.
Yeah. So what have they done in 2 years? They didn't know there was evidence. Why? Because they didn't check. They didn't ask.
Yeah. So no letting up on there's no need to let up on the gas quite yet, and just trust that a new face is going to handle it. So.
Well, and also, I mean, it's all over Oklahoma. It's right here in the Oklahoman. I'm trying to get the Tulsa World involved. Hopefully this show will, prod them along. But it's Oklahoma district attorney had secretive deals.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
Yeah.
A former
now if why not prosecute him? Why not prosecute him?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk more about when you spoke to the investigators, what you can say or what you repeated to Molly that can be put out.
Yeah, and of course, she being our client, I told Molly the whole deal, everything I think is relevant. If she had more questions, definitely answer all of that. They wanted all the material, and they were not even aware. I guess they're not watching Molly's TikToks quite yet. They were asking me if the video, if the deposition was videotaped, and I was like, "Oh yeah," and so. When we uploaded everything, I wanted to check. Of course, you want to check and make sure if a large file uploaded correctly. So we popped on the video, and they're standing there in my office. And let me tell you, these people are investigators because, like, when you have your face turned away for a second, they're looking at everything on your wall and everything on your desk. You're thinking, was I involved in this? They're very just take everything out of your medicine cabinet before you invite them to a party at your house. I'm just saying, okay? So we popped on the deposition video, and there was this point where it showed Cody right before he was about to, start giving the deposition, and he's all chipper, and his shirt is kind of starchy because it's brand new and it's the first time he's worn it, I suspect, before he started dressing exactly like me. It's scary, okay?
Notice that.
It's literally, everyone's noticed it. I've noticed it. I've told his buddy, you tell Cody to quit raiding my wardrobe. And he said, never took you for a thong guy. And then I had to have him explain the joke, oh, I get it. It's funny. All right. So we had the video there. We had the before lunch break. We had the after lunch break. One of these investigators said, I'm very surprised he came back after lunch. I'm like, me too. And it was almost like a before and after photo as we popped on, because the video's in two parts. So we popped on the first one. Yeah, it's working. There he is before lunch. Popped on the second one. Oh, that shirt has lost some of its starch. That's for sure. We gave them things that are not even complete, like we have affidavits. For example, we have some affidavits that are in progress where people will like tell us stuff, but they won't sign it. We gave them that stuff. We gave them all the stuff I'd scraped off of social media. Like every time Cody puts something on Facebook, I'm going to grab it and take a picture because it might disappear later. Like that one creepy photo where he's staring into the darkness. You know the one I mean, Brooks.
Oh yeah.
We talked about it. Yeah. And there's this weird thing where there's a couple pieces of sleet in front of the camera. And one of these pieces of sleet looks exactly like a ghostly skeleton finger pointing right at Cody. And I'm thinking, why would you choose that as your profile photo? You want to scream that to the world? So that photo and like, whatever little typewritten analysis, everything, just everything. And when I say everything, yeah, there's things I probably just don't want to talk about. Okay. But again, it took an hour to upload, and they wanted to know, is there a place to eat around here? And I was being subtle. I was being expressive. I made a point of recommending the Mexican restaurant because Cody used to work at a Mexican restaurant, and it was my way of doing a little homage, though it is the best restaurant in town. I'll say that. Okay. I didn't do them wrong, but sometimes I just can't help myself. So they went to a Mexican restaurant. They came back. We give them everything, and I hope they use it.
Well, we have a question right here. Whiskey Dragon wants to know, why did Cody get Alaunna's death date tattooed on his body?
Ha!
He's several levels of creepy.
Yeah, but let me say this. I am absolutely convinced that is not actually her death date, that she died on December 7th, and that even that tattoo is a lie and an alibi, okay? I think she died shortly before midnight on December 7th. And I'm not going to get into it, but I have a very strong emotional connection with that date. And I have believed that from the start. When I looked at that young woman's gravestone, and I went out to her grave. I didn't make a special trip. I was going from point A to point B, and I was like, well, heck, right along here, I could go see that. And I went there, and the minute I looked at it, it just hit me like, that date's wrong. Yeah. Why did he do it? If you look at that tattoo does not look like a loving homage to a departed friend, a tribute. It looks like a statement like, yeah, me. And you start analyzing it. It's weird because he used Roman numerals, okay? So one of those Roman numerals is an X. Well, people used to, back in my day when the straight edge movement started and Avril Lavigne and stuff, people used to put an X on the back of their hand, and it was a reminder to themselves not to engage in vices, drugs, alcohol, have self-control. A lot of people don't remember this little aspect of the straight edge movement. I certainly remember it. So when I see an X tattooed on somebody, I think, is that a reminder to myself not to do something? I don't know. That's subtle, artistic. I've spent too much time looking at that tattoo, analyzing it. We questioned Cody about that tattoo. Might be fun to put that part out there. Just saying,
Okay, well, speaking of, let's look when he put his hand on his hip and got kind of irritated.
I can understand. Why are you going to need more? And just to help me understand, can you read the part that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the first one. Okay, just how it says it, it's definitely Kevin. Okay, y'all, I need help. If you have any possible information about aggressive or abusive behavior by Cody Baker, Terrell, I don't know why he put and, but he should have put or, Mullins, maybe what you know by his last name to be. This information is very relevant in our civil and potentially criminal investigation in the death of our daughter Alaunna. Maybe there's some text messages, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
He goes, it should say and or.
Oh, he's being so specific about his aliases. Thank you, Cody. I appreciate your diligence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's I don't know if he's feigning being a slow reader because he wants to jump ahead and see what he's about to read and think about it. I don't know if he's feigning being a slow reader or if he's actually that slow. People do say that he's not bright, he's slow, but I will say that he has an incredible social intelligence, like somebody who's had to survive their whole life and be in foster homes and so forth. I've heard a story about how when he was invited over to play video games and everybody was drunk and stupid, and the next day they woke up and Cody had cleaned the whole house and said what a marvelous time he'd had and hoped he could come by again. And so even though he is definitely not book smart, if he was book smart, he could have avoided an $11.6 million judgment by talking to a few smart people and filing a few things. But he didn't. But he is socially intelligent, very socially intelligent.
Some people would call it street smart.
Right.
Well, a street smart person would have invoked the fifth and never shown up in that deposition room. So, but too late now, you know?
Late now. All right, let's go through.
Number 3, this piece of a report.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
this is a report.
Can you point out the part where he has said something that's untrue there? All right.
No, gosh. He's taking so much time to point out the
Really just the
most
whole thing.
ridiculous error.
Yeah, run the clock down. Run the clock down, Cody. Run it down.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about my least favorite word, which is feelings. People have too many feelings. Ugh. You know,
Right.
we empathize with people's feelings. You know, oh, you had a sucky day at work, or you got stuck in traffic. Oh, you know, your kid's being an asshole to you. I mean, those type of things. When this hits, and it hits big, and it will, it's going to be a totally different world for your family and for John and for the law firm. You're going to hear a lot about feelings. Cody was abused. Cody was a nerd. Cody was in the friend zone.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think you will deal with that?
How will I deal with him?
Getting sympathy from the internet. Because we have a case we've been talking about. I've done a video out of Frisco, Texas.
Yeah.
Where a boy was stabbed in the heart by someone that wasn't supposed to be there, and they are claiming racism, and they're having BLM movements and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but you're going to hear a lot about feelings.
Honestly, just a human with a soul, I'm sad for Cody. I'm sad that this is his life. I'm sad that he, ended up taking Alaunna's life out of, his lack of self-control and rage and jealousy. I'm sad that is his reality. I'm not sad that he's going to face consequences. We all have to be held accountable, whether, it's by accident. If you're a drunk driver and you're killing someone, well, I'm sorry, you still are going to be held accountable.
Yes.
For this. And Cody, I'm really sorry that this is, the way your life is unfolding, but your house of cards is crumbling, and bummer, dude, you're going to have to face these consequences.
That's going to be that's going to be the title of the next show. Bummer, dude, you're going to have to face it.
I'm gonna jump in here. Brooks, the other day when you did that neighborly duty and you were kind to a small child, you were preventing bad things from happening in the world. There was a point where somebody was supposed to take care of Cody and they did a lousy job. And that happened several times.
Mhm.
Every day, by our small, meaningful, good actions, when we fulfill our duties, we are preventing awful things from happening in the world. And I've had this conversation with Molly about what makes a serial killer. Okay, a serial killer like Bundy, he got away with it when he was about 16, made a little girl disappear on his paper route, and then later they figured out, oh, Bundy was her paper boy. Do the math. Jeffrey Dahmer killed a hitchhiker that he had a brief romantic liaison with, and then Dahmer was like, "Don't leave, I love you," and the guy was like, "I'm a rambling man, I got to ramble," and Dahmer killed him with a barbell. And then what happens is they live in guilt and fear and terror from those teenage years up until the point they hit some stability in their 30s. I will say that I literally believe that if I can stop Cody, there will not come a time when he's 30 years old and working in a Milwaukee chocolate factory or whatever. I think he'd like that job. I'm just saying. And starts thinking, I got away with it. I have the power of God. Looking at his tattoo, I am God. And the next thing you know, what's going to happen? Starts tying prostitutes to chairs and putting a gun to their head. I imagine he'd start with people that wouldn't be noticed, young women. I mean, I literally believe that what we have here is a recipe that's going to make a serial killer. And he must be stopped at this point. This monster must not be born. But I'm going to say again, every time we do things in society, we help someone. We bring food to a family. My mother was famous for it. We grew up tough, and she'd find like 6, 7 other families that had it worse off, and she'd be bringing them boxes. You, me, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, my feelings. Well, you know what? Life's tough. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Well, hell, I just made chicken noodle soup for my neighbor behind us, and all he had was damn cataract surgery. V. Oakley said, no sympathy here. Chrissy said, he chose it. Ilyanka said, I'm not sad for Cody. He brought this on himself. Exactly. He brought it on himself. There you go. He chose it. This is, I can't say he chose his life, and I won't say that.
No, he did not.
He didn't
He
choose.
did not.
Nor did
his
Molly,
parents, the
nor did John.
Moles family. Yeah.
Nor
They were
did
supposed to take care of him. Didn't.
Yeah, no one did. Okay, so, and I'm not going to get into CPS and foster care because at some point in our lives and our brains, we know to get our way, we don't kill people.
Right.
Well, of course, I will point out that Army drill sergeants have to kind of unteach that, but we won't go there. Yeah.
Very crazy thing that you just brought up there. My son is in the Air Force. And I can't say what they have going on, but it rhymes with Nimon. Okay, so when I say to my son, you learned in church, thou shalt not kill, and he goes, "That's not what they tell us in the Air Force, Mom."
I was in the military, and I remember the moments our drill sergeants said these words to us. They said, society has taught you not to kill, your parents, everybody. But when you're attracted to a beautiful girl and somebody takes her away from her, what do you want to do? And then some guy kind of answered back, kill him, drill sergeant? Like, that's right. You want to kill him. And gradually they led us through this exercise where they were like, you are allowed to kill within certain definite rules of engagement and so forth, and I am giving you permission to kill. And then we're out there for hours in the hot sun screaming, what is the spirit of the bayonet? To kill without mercy. And we were like all sleep deprived, and I remember this moment, they were like setting off these smoke flares of multiple colors, and it was like a rainbow of smoke, and they're walking in front of us talking about how good it is to kill for your country when it's necessary. And part of my little exhausted brain in my 20s kind of snapped and went, killing is pretty. And thank God, I've got that part under control. Other soldiers do. but it was George Orwell that said, decent people sleep in their beds at night because rough men are willing to do violence on their behalf. And that man who came and arrested Cody, put his hand on him, made sure he was secure, put him in the elevator, all of those folks, that's the reason we sleep safe in our beds, because there are people that are taught when and how to kill when it is necessary, like in To Kill a Mockingbird, when the lawyer had to shoot a rabid dog in the street. And every now and then you got to take that rabid dog and strap him to a gurney and give him a decent last meal and some let him have his last words, and then sleepy time. I'm sorry, Houdini. We're not talking about. We're not. No, we're not. Never mind.
Houdini, you're fine. You're safe. You're
okay.
safe.
You're all right. You're right. We're talking about creepers.
It's called Protecting America. That's what it's called. And if you talk to any soldier, and Cody is not one, and to be quite honest, I don't think he would have been able to serve in the military. He's too damn twisted.
Yeah. And I will point out, he could not meet the weight standard even today. Like I couldn't,
Fucking fat ass. I tell you what. I mean, he's a young dude. I mean, all he's doing is sitting there drinking gravy and eating those damn chicken tenders. That's all. I mean, Mary Ann talked about. I mean, like, he loved to sit there and drink gravy and they eat a chicken tender after it. And I'm like, that's goddamn gross.
Okay, this is scary because last night I had chicken tenders and gravy for supper, and we dressed alike. And I will say that I'm an author, and I have been known to use what some people call aliases. I say they're pen names, but I discussed this with Molly, that if you put energy out in the universe, sometimes you call forth your opposite. You call forth your antithesis, and that the universe called me forth, to under my role to do battle here.
Okay, we're going to see a little bit more of the deposition. And also, one thing that soldiers say is that when it comes to no mercy, that's kind of the boring part of their job. They like more of the intelligence. Cody. I don't know if he has any internet access, at the Oklahoma County Jail. I mean, I guess I could make a trip over there and sit there and talk to him for a second. Would that be helpful since he loves me so much?
He's probably starved for visitors.
Nobody here is giving any legal advice about anything there right now, ma'am.
Okay.
At all. If I owe them $1 billion, they're never going to get $1 billion. I don't have that. I am broke. I have a quarter of gas and I don't get paid till Friday. I am broke. So I just don't understand.
Yeah, when we talk about your theory, the things that I see, just as a guy looking at it, is that we had a normal, happy girl, and do you know if she had any experience with guns?
She went deer hunting, but I don't know if she was the one that was holding it, because she would go with her people in Louisiana or whatever state it was.
Did she ever mention that there was a gun in her home?
No. She never said anything about a gun, ever.
She never mentioned a gun to you?
Yeah, not even about deer hunting, just I'm going deer hunting.
That's just something that made sense. If you go deer hunting, there was probably a gun.
Yeah. I mean, no, she didn't even say, I'm going to have this, nothing. And it doesn't make sense because, oh, my bad. I thought that was this paper. I'm sorry. Yeah, because there's some more. Number one person right here, she saw Alaunna at, I don't know if it was physical therapy, something, literally December 7th, the day before it happened, and said that she, seemed happy and everything seemed chill, fine.
And that's the person at the top of that yellow page, one by.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then do you have any experience with firearms?
Yes.
Okay. What do you? Or I guess a more simple question: do you own a gun?
No.
Okay. What kind of guns have you handled?
I've been shooting guns since I was 5, so it's been a lot.
Okay. She was a normal girl. She getting physical therapy. Do you know why she took physical therapy? Did she?
Something with her knee, I believe. I think she got in a 4-wheel accident. Something.
Okay. She's going to the doctor the same day. That doesn't make any sense as someone who is having those kind of thoughts would. Yeah. And then, of course, the wrong hand.
Yeah, like it does. I see where the parents are coming from for some of it. Like it doesn't make sense. As you know, if I was in their shoes, I'd be, this does not make sense.
So right there, he said, if I was her parents, I would say this does not make sense. Well, who was with her? Who was stalking her? Who was in the friend zone? Who was so much wanting to date a girl 4 years younger than him? Who, Cody? It wasn't anyone else.
Mm-mm.
If anyone keeps up with news in Oklahoma, it's hard to keep up. Here, let me just, I'm going to get to it here in just a second. All right? Just a little bit about our state in Oklahoma County. They have a long history of abuse in the Oklahoma County jail. All right. Now, when you see those purty lips and that purty mouth, all right, and you see those size, I'd say between C and D, someone who is going to be a big old black dude is going to lay a meat pipe in every orifice he can find in between those ice cream titties. And I don't know what Cody is going to do. Maybe he can reach out to John to help him out.
I cannot, in my role, even if he tried to speak to me, I would have to tell him to speak to his lawyer that he has for maybe another 5 minutes longer. Sorry, it's funny. It is a little funny. No disrespect to his lawyer, who is a consummate professional, and we think well of him and have dealings with him. But you don't pay someone's going to withdraw. I don't know the reason for the attempt to withdraw. I'm speaking of it. It is in the public record that in his criminal case, the lawyer is attempting to withdraw. The most likely reason is the lawyer is not getting paid. So Cody's in a really tough place.
That's normally how it works. And there's not going to be anything that can happen. No fake grandma, fake grandpa, or anyone is going to roll in. No, not going to happen. And I don't think that the fake grandpa and grandma, by which we mean the really decent family that tried so hard to take care of foster kids like Cody. But I just don't see them rolling in and doing anything here and associating themselves with him. I think they'd really, I'm speculating, I think they'd like to disassociate themselves from him. And even if they have communicated with him, it might be a matter of keeping tabs, shall we say. But then again, Cody has fooled people in his life. I mean, you got all this stuff, like you did this, Cody, you did that, Cody, and he's like, oh yeah, that was stupid, and people are like, yeah, you're just stupid. You're not guilty. You're not a sex criminal. You were just, you're stupid. He party animal. But when it goes,
people love him.
But when it goes down the pike, let me tell you right now, Oklahoma doesn't mess around. I mean, death row is not, I mean, it's not fun.
Yeah, they say Florida is the belt buckle of the death penalty states, but Florida just has a lot of population. I think if you compare all the states, population versus capital punishment, I'd be real interested to see where Oklahoma comes in there. We're in a Electric Avenue,
But he doesn't understand what's going to go down in county at all.
Well, if Cody, I got to say this because I just want to end this. I want to end the suffering for this family. Okay. I want this to be over with. And to a degree, I even want to end the suffering for Cody. I will say that if a person is youthful and it's their first offense, and if they come from a rough background, if there's anything you can document, it's the rough background here, that he never had a chance. He was a throwaway kid, that often a judge will, they won't let down the full harsh death penalty. But the longer a person wants to fake and put people through hell and tell lies and so forth, the longer that process goes on, the more you remove yourself from that possibility of mercy, especially if you want to take it all the way to trial, all the way to a jury. Yeah.
Well, just some, just a little bit of trivia for you, John. Texas has the highest numbers of executions.
God bless Texas.
And next is Oklahoma.
Well, I say we can do better. No, I gotta be truthful for a second here. Brooks, I hate to tell you, but I work for criminal defense attorney. I'm a bit of a liberal, and in my heart, I believe that capital punishment should be for heads of state that commit genocide. But if it happened to somebody that I loved, I don't feel like I need to be logically consistent. I told my son, my beloved son, once when he was a little kid, we were parked at a railroad intersection, and there was some weird guy that he was a pedestrian. He was creeping on my son, and I leaned across my son. I pointed my finger. I said, "You step away." And I told my son, I said, people say if somebody hurt my kid, I'd kill him, and then hardly anybody actually does. Let's just say I articulated something to my son about how I would definitely be the outlier there, but until you're in that position.
But when it comes down to you'll be on the other side, and prosecution might ask the state for death.
Intellectually, I believe society needs to do better than capital punishment. Places like North Korea and China. But in my heart and my soul and my emotions, if you did that to someone I loved, I mean, you won't get a chance to, but thank God that's never happened to me. And people say that, very few people do that, but I just want this to end. I want this to end for this family. I don't want them to have to go through years and years of a trial and then an appeal and so forth. Please, let's just end it.
Wouldn't it be much better for him to go ahead and just plead guilty and get life without parole?
Well, for one thing, he could start doing his time. Like right now, he's sitting in that jail. He's not getting any good time, any credit for the time he'll have to do for Alaunna. He is potentially, I will say, getting time that, like if he pleads to this drug felony, they will credit the time that he's doing at the jail. They could very easily say, okay, we're going to give you a 6-month suspended sentence with credit for the 6 months you've already served. Something like that happens all the time. But right now, he's not accumulating any good time for what he did to Alaunna. It's all a waste. It's all a waste.
Yeah, but I mean, guards talk, and so they know, why he didn't get his $500 bond. And so he's having a good time in a different way. All right, John?
Well, 3 hots and a cot, I mean, if you will use
a big black cock, that's what he's getting.
Oh, we don't know that. And the jails have tried so hard. There's like the Prison Rape Elimination Act or something like that. I mean, people say it happens all the time, and it's a stereotype, but it's not nearly as common. Of course, then again, a lot of people don't want to admit it happened to them. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I got to see the evidence, Brooks.
Okay, a girl can dream. Well, I just want to say thank you so much to Aunt Molly and John at Palmer Law. And we're not here to debate the death penalty. We are here to, keep Alaunna's name out here. Now, in closing, Molly, I'm going to ask you, not John, not that I don't want to hear John's opinion. Would you be upset if the state goes for the death penalty?
No.
Okay. Now, would you go to Electric Avenue and see him get executed? Mind you, we're talking 20 years from now.
No. I wouldn't want to. I would just, have a piece about what, okay, that happened. He's no longer going to be alive, and that's what ended up happening. And again, bummer, dude, but no, I don't need to see him suffer through it. And I don't know, maybe I change my mind whenever I hear details about what he did. My mind may change, but at this moment, and I have sometimes an unfortunate tendency to give people the most generous interpretation. I really want to believe there's good in people, and try to, be positive, shed some sort of positive sliver into something. But no, I wouldn't be disappointed if he served a life sentence without parole, and I wouldn't be disappointed if he was given the death penalty, but I wouldn't want to watch unless I learned some things where I would need to satisfy that justification of, yeah, I'm going to need to watch you suffer.
And that is understandable and fair in all cases. It really is. Now I'm going to ask you this. Dang it, I said an hour and now we're going on an hour and a half. Okay, I'm just going to ask one more question, I promise. Look at John. He's like, yeah, like I have nothing else to do today. Do you think that Cody's grandparents might have covered for him in some way? I'm only asking Molly. I will not ask John.
So, being from that town, I know the family. Okay. I think that those two people have a good heart. I think that Cody was dumped in their lap because he was unable to be in the foster home where he was supposed to be. And they said, we need you to take Cody because it's not working out here. And I know he ended up being violent and aggressive to those grandparent people. But I also know that they have an important name in that town. And for this to be true about Cody is a stain on them. I don't see it that way. But they are likely cautious to say, hey, if there's anything we can do you want to look at our phone records? Do you want to talk about that conversation that we had with Cody that morning? Do you want to look at our truck? Do you want to ask if that truck was missing that morning? That would be so helpful. And we don't hold resentment or cast any guilt or responsibility on them at all. I think that they are cautious for this to be true. That they don't want this to be true, and they don't want it to be connected with them.
And I can understand that. And I really think if the people that were supposed to investigate had investigated, they would have turned the truck over. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, still could be done.
Right.
Because if you've heard of the Morgan Nick case in Alma, Arkansas, that truck had been sold several times, and it was a DNA expert in Texas that actually found the DNA evidence. They know who killed her. They just don't know where she's at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would love to know, because both of the families where Cody says these people he would live with them, you know, kind of back and forth. He, at 2 different times, telling his account of where were you that night, he said 2 different places.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, well, both of those people showed up as calling his phone that morning. If you're in my house, I don't need to call you. I might need to call you if I need to ask, where is my truck? Or where are you? Or why is there a whole bunch of bleach all over your clothes? Or, you know, something like that. We need to know that.
Look, nobody is, I believe it's in the client's interest to say this. Nobody is trying to find a deep pocket here. Nobody is trying to turn this into a judgment against anybody but Cody. Okay.
No.
And they say you can't get blood from a stone, but I say you got a right to try. And Operation Bloody Stone has been launched, and we'll see if there's any blood in that stone, metaphorically. But really, honestly, nobody, if people are being cautious and they're not wanting to speak because they're afraid they're going to get in legal trouble, well, first and foremost, they should naturally seek their own legal counsel. But honestly, from the bottom of my heart, nobody wants anybody here but Cody.
Mm-hmm.
He's just everybody.
Oh, and I did not think that way. It was just a conversation.
No, and I know you didn't. I know you didn't, Brooks. I'm speaking out to the universe there. Okay. Yeah.
Well, this has been an absolutely amazing show. I'm going to show the video again of Cody, who, by the way, is walking a little different now since he's been in the Oklahoma County Jail. And that is not the last time he's going to get those silver bracelets. Hey, Houdini. I want to say thank you.
I wanted Houdini to see that the bad creeper man has been put away, because Houdini is scared of creepers. Yeah.
Oh, Houdini. Oh, my goodness. Lady Roses, I want to say thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. Sophia Petrillo, Kimberly Mann, Angel P. Thank you for gifting memberships. Most importantly, we're going to get Alaunna's name out there. I did reach out to Muscles and Mascara this morning. She's going to get this information to Josh from the lab, who is in really tight communication with Chris McDonough. And we're just going to keep this going, you know, little at a time. Okay.
And if you want to see that video of Cody, Molly has that on her TikTok, Alaunna's Voice TikTok, and she's added some music. I kind of want it to be a surprise, but go check it out and subscribe. And please, if you want to be part of Alaunna's army, go there and hit like, heart. Keep driving her channel upward so we keep reaching out with this information about Alaunna and getting more people on board.
100%. You guys are absolutely the best. And if you're up for it, Molly, I've got another show prepared for next week.
Okay. Let's keep it going.
It's your time. It's your time. It's your dime. You know, that's what they say. Thank you so much, John. me tell you
I
what.
don't know if I could be there next week. I know I talked a lot on this one. I don't know if I could do this again. We're just going to give it all we got. Okay. We're going to give it all we got.
John, no one's asking you to come back on. Don't be patting yourself. Okay.
Sounds good, ma'am.
We already know you're the most hated person in Oklahoma County right now. Okay.
Well, I mean, just in Cody's cell, but yeah.
He's really hating you right now because you know what he's going through. All right, you guys have a great rest of your day. Please share this. Please continue in all of your true crime groups. And I know you guys are in a million of them. I know you are. Keep Alaunna's name out there. I love you guys to pieces, and I will, see you in Discord, one of the Facebook groups, or I'll see you back on the show tomorrow at 9 a.m. We're going to be talking about Madalena Kojikari. And it's not a pretty case. It's not a fun case. It's not a popular case. It's got to be done. Every one of you, let me tell you what. Actually, Molly says it better. Molly, you send us out and tell everyone. Love you. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye. We'll see you next time.